really think that that's going to be the next massive wave. I personally believe it's going to dwarf the what we're seeing as the age of AI right now.
Wow.
You're not going to be replaced by AI, but you will be if you don't know how to use it. Software affects the end user, and that there are real people living real lives at the end of the products. In the defense space, there's no way around that. You learned, firsthand that this could affect somebody's life.
Welcome to The Business Game.
A podcast that moves the needle.
You know, Steve, I've been thinking, if I could clone myself, I'd finally get through my inbox.
Yeah, that's true. Or you could just call Taylor Offshore, right? They basically do that, but better.
True. They match businesses with top-tier remote talent, customer service, admin, even SaaS development.
Yep, scale your team, cut your costs, and Kalina, keep your sanity.
And their people feel like part of your own team, just without the extra desks.
Yeah, exactly, right? Head to TaylorOffshore.com to get your new superstar team member onboarded in just a week. Thanks to Taylor Offshore for supporting The Business Game. Hello and welcome to The Business Game, a podcast that moves the needle. I'm Steve Plummer.
And I'm Kalina Steno.
Before we get started today, make sure you like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Today we're joined by Arthur Miller, founder and CEO of Fiqis. Hi Arthur, how are you going?
Good. How are you doing today?
Yeah, really good. It's a warm welcome to you. So to kick us off, Arthur, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so I've been in the fintech world for a while. I worked on projects like Zelle at Early Warning, started in a fintech startup company called Equipify. That's a white label BNPL solution for financial institutions. And now I'm starting my own company as CEO, which is Fiqis, concentrating predominantly on four major pillars. One of those is going to be micro lending products, which includes microloans themselves as well as peer-to-peer lending aspects. Then we're focused on AI as well, security in depth in post-quantum encryption and how we approach the age of quantum computing. And then also getting into how we can leverage AI for reporting and informing financial institutions. And core integrations. Core integrations is always a pain point in the financial industry, which can slow down innovation and growth. And so we're looking to make that more secure yet seamless.
All right, fantastic. We'll dive into each of those, in this episode. I'm fascinated though. You have got such an interesting career story and career history. You were in military intelligence. You're in national defence research and development. Now you're in the enterprise space in fintech architecture. It sounds like a huge question, but what drew you rather to technology and then fintech leadership? Because it's a fascinating story.
Yeah, I got approached. I was in the defense sector, which is a great space to be in, and it really brought me to software security and the importance thereof. I went from there into the private sector and was able to work on some great projects. And I was approached by somebody from Early Warning and said, "Hey, we got this project going on. We need somebody who more specializes in distributed systems," which was my background. And I thought this sounds like a terrific project to be on. So I jumped over with Early Warning and started from there.
Yeah, and I'm curious, what did you take from that military side of things that's really useful in the private space?
Yeah, so one discipline, long work hours is sometimes needed. Work-life balance, obviously, I preach a lot, but sometimes having the discipline to stay focused for several hours to get something done is good. But also, and probably more importantly, is the importance of how software affects the end user, and that there are real people living real lives at the end of the products. In the defense space, there's no way around that. You learned firsthand that this could affect somebody's life, and lives are on the line, especially in combat situations and things.
Yeah. Did you find that? Did you find the pressure of that, I don't know, overwhelming or really difficult? Because, in business, not that profit and money and all of those things aren't important, but if you happen to lose, a chunk of money because of mistakes, well, you can always make that up. But the stakes are so much higher in the military space. How did you handle the pressure?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really going back to staying disciplined and focus on what you're doing and what you're delivering, and knowing the importance of it and the impact that it has. And that just led into wanting to produce highly secure, highly functional projects and software for the fintech role as well, placing just as much importance. Obviously, the impact is not life or death. If somebody gets breached, or like a financial institution gets breached, but I think it should be taken as serious for sure.
How is it that you are balancing innovation and compliance with Ficus? In terms of that, it's highly regulated, the financial environment. How does that play out for you?
Yeah. I always tell the people that I'm working with, if we do our jobs well, we shouldn't have to worry about the compliance, because it just forces us to do things appropriately. So while we do have to worry about regulation, that should be like the standard. We should be like, that's the minimum bar, right? So we should be going above and beyond that so much more. So really, that's it. It's a fun challenge, and I always like to not just meet bars, but to surpass them.
Great. And is there much competition with where you're headed with Ficus in that space?
I would like there to be, actually. There's not right now. There's not a lot of competition, but there's room for it, and I think it should be welcomed, because I think the more we compete, the better we get, and the better it makes us all. Steel sharpens steel, as the saying goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that competition gives you something to sort of, yeah, keep your finger on the pulse of what you're up to and constantly staying ahead of the game and thinking outside the box.
Right. And if there's no competition, how do we know we're making the best product, right?
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, absolutely.
Can we talk a little bit about teams and scaling teams? Because you would probably agree with this. I assume that scaling technical teams can be notoriously difficult. So, what's your approach to building and leading high performing teams across complex organizations?
Yeah, very good question. I think one is finding the right talent, that people who love to do their jobs, who love to learn and be innovative. That's one thing. Allowing them to do their job, that's another. So getting out of their way and keeping things out of their way, not tying them up in meetings, not letting them get bored or tying their hands too much, but allowing technical people to be technical and to really solve problems in innovative ways. I think that drives a lot of people. Of course, we have regulations and everything to abide by as well, but amongst those constraints, really to let people work. There's a lot in our industry that kind of binds people to certain processes, like Scrum and Agile and things like that. But I find that the more freedom you can provide innovators and technical people, the better things become. The happier they are with their jobs and how they work, the better they produce. Also, finding a good culture that people can work well together with, collaborate with, challenge each other, be honest with, and have the safety to make mistakes, where they feel like they can't possibly mess something up. That imposes a lot of stress that kind of crushes innovation. So giving people that freedom to say, yes, you can make a mistake, don't worry, we'll test it before it goes out, and if it's broke, we'll find where it's breaking. So they shouldn't have to worry about those things.
On the issue of teams, what tips have you got for hiring in the tech space?
Be open to hire from anywhere. I try not to constrain myself. Talent's all over the globe, and we're in a era with technology that um, people can work from anywhere. You can find wonderful talent from anywhere. So I say be open to that. Where I think where a lot of technology companies are getting back to this space and idea of wanting people back in seats and in office. I think allowing people to work, whether it be in office or out of office, whatever makes that individual most productive, let them have at it and work to the best of their ability the way that they want to work.
And what about individuals? Like if you've got two people applying for a job that have similar qualifications and skills and experience, what would make you pick one over the other?
How well they mesh with the team. Sometimes that makes all of the difference. You can have conflicting personalities. You can have personalities that get along so well and people just mesh well. Now there is that, of course. How would you say the forming, storming, norming kind of team building that always kind of takes place. So there's going to be a bit of that, obviously, but besides that, finding people that can get along well, you that's not immediate, but the better you get a feel. So allowing the team to spend a little bit of time in the interview with somebody, if they get the chance to meet in person and um, discuss tech stuff and see how well they get along. It might not be, could be simple tech conversations that people hold as opposed to hard interview questions where, there's strictly defined answers. It could just be talking shop for a little bit with somebody and seeing how well, you guys bounce back and forth with things you like and don't like in terms of technologies to work with.
We're going to dive into AI, and I've got so many things I want to
Yes.
ask you about that. But
Yeah.
just to kick it off,
Great.
just to follow on with the teams, and how do you see AI impacting growing teams? Do you see AI replacing a lot of these roles, or do you see them just enhancing them? What's your take on that and seeing the future projection?
Yeah, I think I don't see it replacing. There's just still AI has so many hallucinations and so many things that can go wrong. I definitely see it enhancing. I see it making people better and more efficient, delivering faster. So when people want to spin up a business, it's going to help them do so much quicker. Um, there's still a lot to AI has a long ways to go still. But software takes so long to deliver because it's a very hard job. It's a very hard career that requires a lot of thinking, a lot of tedious testing. So AI is fueling the ability to do that more efficiently and allows engineers to get software out quicker, which is what they want in the first place. So everybody wants to be able to deliver and see what they're building out there in the wild and getting used by people. Nobody wants to hold that back, right? So it's really, I think, helping developers deliver and getting what they're working so hard on out into the hands of the end users, which is nice to see.
With that, do you see, because everyone's catching on that AI is being used and it is enhancing and it's allowing people to bring things out quicker, is then the new standard going to be set for this fast pace? And then are we going to be trying to, are we sort of setting ourselves up to be on this like wheel of never ending?
It's a good question,
Just
right?
because
Yeah.
of the speed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once the bar is set, it's like, oh, if you're not meeting this, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think we're already there in many cases.
Yeah.
It's kind of the saying behind the scenes that a lot of people mention is that if you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you will be if you don't know how to use it,
Yes,
because
to
the
be outpaced.
person who's going to replace you will know how. So
Yes,
that's
totally.
kind of the takeaway. So I would say learn how to use AI, learn how to use it within every aspect. Now, is it going to be able to do your job for you? Absolutely not. But it'll get you 80% of the way, most of the time, pretty quick, and then it's up to you to take it from there and really drive it home. So I think we're kind of there. I talk to investors all the time. They're really looking at it seriously to say like, well, do you actually need 10 million, or could you do this for now with AI
Yeah.
for much less, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
startup role. So yeah, I think we're already there where people are starting to look at it from that aspect to say like, well, you should be able to deliver faster and you should be able to do this for less. Um, it's now in some ways I think there's a bit of a bubble around that'll burst because some expectations for people that don't work with it on a daily basis and just kind of know the rumors and the buzzwords might have an unrealistic expectation. I think at this point. So again, engineers are still quite needed, along with you know product owners, business stakeholders. It always takes a team to deliver something well.
Yes. And then with that, so I've been sitting on my seat waiting to ask this. AI and defense, weaponry, all of those things. How is that going to play out? What's your take? Because you've got such a great experience in that space.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's absolutely going to have to be used. I think, especially for security controls and testing, because whenever there's a benefit to AI, there's also the counterparts,
Yes.
right? So we're already seeing AI used for attack vectors and to try to breach security. What was once nicknamed kind of as script kiddies, like that can take somebody's script and run it. Well, now they can utilize AI to come up with their own, attack vectors against technologies if they know the tech stack. So it's becoming a bit of a scary world because
Yeah.
attacks are becoming so easy. So we're going to have to use AI to approach things more intelligently and to try to find vulnerabilities and remediate those for us. So it's definitely a vital part. Now, with weapon systems and stuff like that, that's I think there's there's two different ways to look at it. There's also always the scary side, right, of what could come, but I think it could be leveraged for good. Like we could tell, with cameras that we have these days and utilizing AI, is that a target that we shouldn't hit, and to be able to deactivate weapons and things like that. So I think there's a huge upside to it, and I tend to be more pessimistic than optimistic, or I'm sorry, more optimistic than pessimistic for
Yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
Well, that's good. It's a
Yeah.
good way to be.
Yeah. But, all right, I'll go a
Yeah.
little bit the pessimistic side here. In fintech, what are some of the dangers that AI use poses?
AI can be wrong for sure. So there's hallucinations that can happen. So you can't trust AI 100%. But in using AI and knowing that, you go in to say, okay, I have to trust a bit, but I also have to verify. On the counter side to that, people are utilizing AI for so many things, to try to breach financial institutions and attack endpoints, or exploit vulnerabilities. So security definitely has to be taken serious. One of the only ways that we can, especially with fraud and things like that, we have to use it to stay on top of the game as well. So it really does turn into who's utilizing AI better at this point, right? The good guys or the bad guys.
Yeah, and just on that too, the fintech and emerging tech, everything's evolving so quickly, right? So how does one discern or decide which of the emerging technologies like AI, like quantum security, are worth investing in, and which are just the shiny objects or the noise out there? How can leaders discern that?
Yeah, I think it's the same as really evaluating any vendor. We've always had vendor evaluation and software evaluations to go through and meet or need, check all the boxes. Does this meet our needs? Is this compliant? Is this, sharing any kind of PII data or personal identifiable information out anywhere beyond the scope of what we want it used for? So really taking the time to look at how technology works and where data is going, that's highly important. So a lot of, for instance, in the fintech world, we use what's called closed loop models, where the data doesn't go anywhere, it stays within a closed infrastructure where it's not shared out. The general public is not going to gain access to any of that information, and we're not training any models outside of our own. So that's highly important. So and there's not one, right? There's going to be multiple that approach problems in different ways. So it really is just going through and see what meets your own needs, or your company's needs the best.
Okay, yeah. And What's an example of an emerging tech that's got you excited?
Quantum computing for sure. I really think that that's going to be the next massive wave. I personally believe it's going to dwarf the what we're seeing as the age of AI right
Wow.
now. Just because it's going to be such a game changer in the amount of computational power that we get. I mean, we're used to Moore's law, but this dwarfs that. It's going to be a huge spike in computational power.
Can you explain a little bit about what that is? Just I don't know
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. So really, it's utilizing particles to do or computation for us. So going back to like the physics class, it utilizes entanglement and very cold temperatures to utilize qubits and being able to read those particles as they're flipped. So it's a highly interesting field that provides us so much more computational power, meaning what would take a normal computer or normal workstation, 1,000 years to compute or solve a problem, it would take a quantum computer about 15 minutes. And so the implications with that, though, is when it comes to cryptography, being able to break those cryptographic algorithms is now in question. Like, so will they be able to decrypt encrypted information or passwords or any of that? So it really does get a little bit scary if we don't start looking at this from a security perspective as well.
And just on security, you've led some initiatives integrating real-time payments across thousands of financial institutions. What are the major challenges in that, and how do you overcome them?
Scale was once a very hard thing. Thanks to cloud computing, it's now become fairly easy and straightforward, though. So,
Okay,
um,
that's good.
yeah. So we used to have to right size hardware, order the right amount of hardware, and then if you couldn't scale up from there, then you had to order more and hope that you get it in time while everybody else is having a horrible experience. But with cloud computing, like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle Cloud, all of those companies make scalability so easy and right there and ready at your fingertips. And then we have newer technologies that come out that help with that, like Kubernetes and Istio at the service mesh layer. So it really does become quite easy to deliver things at full scale dynamically, and then only pay for the cost of what you're actually using and for that traffic that's utilized. So with Zelle, being that we delivered it as a cloud solution, it was pretty straightforward and easy, to be honest. Now that doesn't say there wasn't some technical challenges. It wasn't. It's not to say that we didn't put in work and effort in it, and it did take time for sure to be able to design it, deliver the code, test it well, and then get it in the hands of the financial institutions. But um, it was so much easier than when I first came into the world of engineering and we had to do everything and deliver to bare bones hardware. Um, those days mostly are over. There's still, of course, companies that have their own data centers and everything like that. But delivering to the cloud actually, yeah, it helps life a lot.
Yes, yeah.
Shift a little bit to, I guess, the human side of things in the industry and even leadership, because you've led both startups and in enterprise settings. So, how does your leadership style shift when you move from like a 10-person startup or 10-person team to a, I don't know, a 10,000 organization?
Yeah, it changes actually. So depending on the scope or the size that I'm dealing with, and depending on if it's on the individual level or not. So it's one of those things where you try to match somebody's style that they need. So organizationally, per team, per group, and then per individual. So it fluctuates a lot. I try to lead by example. So that also means I have to be willing to jump in and help people, which means I'm constantly learning because
Yes.
there's a lot in the technology space. So whether it be infrastructure, whether it be application code or web development, whether that be data within databases or data lakes or warehouses, being able to jump in and help people, and then also knowing what problems they're going to face and trying to assist them with that before they face it, or just getting removing some of the bottlenecks or loosening some of the constraints for them, allowing them to be able to deliver smoothly with a high level of confidence. And then also treating people like people. I think we can tend to forget that, especially when there might be deadlines and or time constraints, and we're pushing hard to try to get something out the door. You still have to remember, these are human beings, these are people with families. So being able to relate to that and say, you know what, um, I've seen you working a lot. Take the day off, or here's a gift card. Like take the family out to dinner or something. So just bringing the human element back into it.
Of that human element, one thing a lot of leaders express is especially at different times of their career, is the idea of imposter syndrome. Get into a new role and
Mhm.
they feel out of their depth almost. Have you experienced imposter syndrome, and how, if so, how have you, I guess, worked your way through it?
Yeah. I think. Well, I think it's impossible not to these
Yes.
days because there's so much information. There's so many different things. You can feel quite small when you start to approach everything at once. So I think one of the ways to avoid that is to not try to have all the answers. To try to treat people as peers. They might work with me, they might work for my company, they might be an employee, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to reach the same goal. We're all trying to be successful and provide for our family. So treating people like a peer, recognizing that you're not going to have all the answers, but you can collaborate with people to figure it out. And there's nothing wrong with sitting down with somebody like an engineer and saying, okay, I, I I don't know this right now, but let's collaborate. Let's figure it out together and see what we can find and toss ideas back and forth and see where we go from here.
Sounds like you've got a lot on your plate and quite high pressure. I'm thinking about sitting in your shoes, and I don't think I would cope very well with um, just because everything that you're handling is so fragile. How do you stay calm? How do you center yourself? Do you have any rituals? Is there anything you lean to when things are feeling a little stormy?
Yeah, yeah. So I do take time to really focus and think about what's important. Sometimes it's the product, sometimes it's getting things out the door and or contracts and things like that, and being able to keep the companies moving and progressing. And sometimes it's taking a step back and saying, hey, I have kids. I'm gonna spend time with them today, or make sure that they know that they're also important and not second in my life, right? So looking at that, I think really truly caring about people and their experiences too. I don't want people to come to work or to work on things and suffer. So I really want to try to make work as enjoyable for people, because not only do you get better work, but then they have a better, healthier life as well. So that's an aspect. I even go as far as to pray and things like that. But I also remember because I did spend time in the military, and while we might be stressed out and working on some very difficult technical challenges, nobody's shooting at us at the end of the day, right? So,
Yes.
whereas the rest of the world, there's a lot of people who, in all seriousness, are not so fortunate or lucky. So, we also have to remember that, like, yes, this might be stressful right now, but we could all be in way worse positions.
Yes. Yeah. You've got that firsthand insight, don't you? Yeah.
One of your favourite client success stories, and I guess I'd ask you to couch that in terms of when they came to you, they were, had this issue, the messy middle, and
Mhm.
then how they're going today.
Yeah. There's one. a very interesting thing that happened to me. I think this is what really sold me on the career path in software engineering. Is was working at DISA one day, and I had a really good manager there. So my first full time engineering job, and he said, "Hey, I want you to come and see something." Took me into an area we had to badge in to, and I had to leave my phone on the outside and lock it in a locker and everything. So highly secure area. We walked through, and he said, "Okay, we're going to walk by somebody's computer, and I want you to look at their screen." And so I walked by and looked at their screen, and they were using the software that I created, in this highly secure facility. And so I thought, wow, okay, like there's a difference being made here. Like I'm actually doing something. so,
Yeah.
um, and so he said, I want you to remember that. So when you're producing software and you're testing it, and you're fatigued or whatever, know that somebody is using this and it's highly important. And I thought, wow, that drives it home. Like not only is my software being utilized, but it's vital to somebody else's success. So it always made me want to produce highly secure, highly high quality code for sure.
When a client comes to you, what does that process look like? Like how does that work? You get a phone call of we in the fintech we've got XYZ problem. Where do you go from there?
Sometimes it is very much that. Sometimes it's a friend of a friend or something that comes out and says, "Hey, this person has this problem in their business." So that's some of it. Right now, in terms of financial institutions, really where we're at right now is there's a handful of institutions that wants to work with us because they know the journey of Zelle and Equipify, and now they're kind of tracking with Ficus as well, and saying, "Hey, we want to work with you guys. We want to be earlier adopters." So that's been pretty special and a blessing for sure. But it's not fully released yet. It's not in the wild, so we're still going through. We're very early stage, so which is exciting. But a really good time for building those early relations and ensuring that we do it right moving forward, so that we can keep that trust of the early adopters and then be proof with them for financial institutions to come.
Speculate for me, crystal ball time. The next 5 years in
Mhm.
fintech, what do you see?
A lot of changes. I think right now we're still trying to catch up to the pen and paper days, and what I mean by that is there was things that you could do um, within the financial institution walls, and within forex and stock trading and things like that. That when you used to get a certificate that issued a stock, like you could take that, you could hand it over to somebody else, and now they have ownership. We're far from those days, so we're still trying to catch up technologically, and I think we'll be fueling that over the next couple of years, where everything will be seamless. I think most institutions will offer most offerings, meaning we may see crypto come into the traditional financial institutions. We may see trades being able to take place across every account. We may even see trades being exchanged, like in terms of shares or equity within company being traded or passed back and forth, as though it were currency. So I think there's some exciting technology advances or innovations that will come up. Um, but with the innovation of quantum computing and the increase in our ability to deliver with AI, I don't think that we can even predict some of the things that will come. I think it's an exciting time, and I think we'll see a huge wave of new innovations that we can't even conceive of right now.
Let's lean on your wisdom a little bit here. So you're leaving college, for the first time. You've graduated. Fast forward to now, all those years ago. Fast forward to now. What is the experienced, wisdom-filled Arthur telling brand new college graduate Arthur to do differently, or to do or to not?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I would say is jump in with both feet and start businesses to solve problems. I think that's the best approach. Actually, it's great to get into a company. It's great to get experience, um, but you don't always need it. I see so many people that hold themselves back, whether it's that imposter syndrome or for whatever other reason. I see highly talented people be extremely risk adverse, and I think it's good to take the risk. It's good to jump in and try to solve problems in the world. And it leads to starting companies or in businesses and to really take an approach at solving some of the problems. Every problem is a huge opportunity. And, you're not only providing value to people, but you can become highly successful in doing so.
Absolutely. Is there any risk that you wish you'd taken?
I was going to ask the exact same question. Yeah. Damn, I should have done that and I
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah.
Far too many, far too many. I everybody has those, right? Like you have this idea like, oh, somebody should do this. Um, Not jumping on that and actually doing it. And there's thousands of them where, you think, I was thinking of, very long time ago, in my college days, thinking about, wow, I wish I could, stream to my TV like from my computer. Well, sure enough, a year or two later, somebody's doing it, and it's just one of those things where you have the ideas, but if you don't execute on it, it gets away from you, and either somebody else is going to solve for it, or nobody may solve for it, and it's just an unsolved for problem that goes on.
And reflecting on all of those things, looking back, what's one or two decisions, or maybe it's three, in your career that were pivotal and really changed the direction of your professional life?
Mm, that's good. I think deciding to go into the private sector, it's always scary when you come to know something and how like you start to build a career and you're on a trajectory and you can grow in a particular area. To be able to look at that and completely pivot and change course or directions can be scary and can make you feel quite vulnerable. But getting into the private sector from the defense space, that was a huge jump for me. It's you go in against some of the cream of the crop people that are coming out from all the top universities, and they get recruited in to companies, especially like FANG companies and things like that. And so now you're up against those guys as well, and so it was humbling, but at the same time, I think I wouldn't have done it any other way. I'm glad I went that direction because it's not a competition. It's really working with the best talent that you can find to work with, and getting that experience back and forth. Like there's always something you can contribute, and there's definitely always something that you can learn. And I'm a huge lifetime learner, so I think I try to learn from everybody every chance that I get.
Is there, as we start to wrap up, is there one, I guess, piece of advice, one little tip that you've got either in the fintech space or in leadership that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I would say definitely listen. Listen. A lot of people want to speak. A lot of people want to share their knowledge. And for there's many reasons behind it. Maybe they want their point to come across, or maybe they want people to look to them as the leader. But I find listening is the most valuable skill that I have. Hearing people out, understanding where they're coming from. You never know. It could be that one thing that somebody says that changes the course of your life, right? And so just allowing people to speak and listening to what they have to say is, I think, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in life.
Thank you.
Such good advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So true.
Yeah. All right. Kalina, are you ready? I think it's just about rapid fire time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. One of the things we do with guests, Arthur, is we get to know the person behind the microphone and the screen a little bit better. So we're going to ask you about 10 questions, short questions, and we'd love short answers just to get to know you a little bit more intimately, I guess. So, Kalina, do you want to fire off first?
Yep. Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Okie doke. What was your first job?
Teaching martial arts at a karate studio.
There you
believe
go.
I was
Would not have
14.
guessed that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, cool. What's your coffee order?
Black.
Early riser or night owl?
Night owl for sure. I am not a morning person at all.
That surprises me.
Most inspiring leader you've worked with?
Oh, there's been so many. I think my very first manager in the defense space, Von Hawkins, very inspiring person, led the right way, told me to go and interview places always and come back to him if somebody made me an offer, and he would beat the offer. And then he said, when I can no longer beat the offer, that's when you know you have to leave.
Wow.
I like
Love that. Yeah.
What's your favorite productivity tool?
Oh my goodness. These days it's going to have to be a plethora of AI tools. So whether that's ChatGPT or any of the other ones right now, I recently became a huge fan of Devin, which is another AI coding tool.
All right. Android guy or iPhone guy?
iPhone. I love the customizability or customability of Android for sure. I don't dislike it. But at the end of the day, I just need my phone to work, and iPhone tends to deliver on that.
Yeah.
What's one piece of tech you couldn't live without?
My phone, for sure. Text, emails, yeah,
little
I
mini
can't do
computer.
without.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's one tech trend you're most excited about?
Quantum computing. It's by far the one I'm most excited about.
Is the customer always right?
Yes. Now, they might not always be able to get what they want, but they're right in the sense of you have to please the customer.
All right. And the best advice you've ever received in 3 or 4 words?
Oh, my goodness. Being humble. That's it. Simply being humble. Like doesn't matter how much money we make. It's a great luxury, for sure. But at the end of the day, we're still all humans. We're still all going to end up in the same place. So being humble and treating people with the respect, and I guess that golden rule of treat people as you want to be treated.
That's a very humbling answer, to be honest. Yeah. All right. As we wrap up, one final question for you, Arthur. If business really is a game, what's your definition of winning?
Offering the greatest amount of value. I think that's it. I'm definitely a huge capitalist, and I think I measure things in terms of value. So I think providing people the most value, that's how you win.
I like that. That's a great answer.
All righty. We are just about out of time, Arthur. Where can our listeners find you online and learn more about you and Fiqis?
LinkedIn, Googling Arthur Miller FinTech is a great way. I could be reached through email, LinkedIn, X, although I'm very new to X. So, and then, of course, arthur@fiqis.com.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much for your time today, Arthur. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we will see you next time. So that's all we've got time for. Wherever you're listening from, thanks for joining us here on The Business Game. We'll see you next time. All right, that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes.
For more insights, strategies, and stories to help move the needle on your business, we'll meet you back here on Thursday.
Thanks for tuning in to The Business Game.
If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to stay connected.
A big thank you to our major sponsor, Tyler Offshore, for powering today's episode.
And join us again on the next episode of The Business Game,
A podcast that moves the needle.